Hello YouTube! So I thought today I would show the progress I've been making on this 1999 Chevy Suburban. And basically I got this truck and I knew that the connecting rod or the crankshaft or something like that had broken because there was a hole in the oil pan. So first I took the engine out, and I'll show you what that looks like. And so there you can see it actually kind of appeared like the wrist pin had frozen and the connecting rod got bent or broken, and pieces of piston and stuff got jammed on both sides and broke all that. So this block can't be used. It also broke the oil pan there. See how it broke through? Little pieces flew out, and then a little windage tray also ripped through. Oh, and then that timing chain is the half ton. Half ton's got that little strap link timing chain, so if you go to get your parts and you say your truck is a 3/4 ton, you can buy the single roller cam, which is what I did. And another broken part of this, I don't even know how this is half possible really, but not only was the block broken, but one of the heads was cracked. The exhaust valve, I don't know how clear this is. But yeah, there it is. So if you can see where the light's shining, there's a crack there. So everyone always says you should do the MagnaFlux test and all this, but I never had a case where when it's cracked you can't see it if you look at it. So I think that's kind of a waste to do that. Just look at the head and see if it's cracked or not. And all the head I ever had that cracked, it was always on an exhaust valve or a spark plug hole, and commonly between the spark plug hole and the exhaust valve. But this one's cracked on the other side. Anyway, it's still cracked on the exhaust valve. So I got this junkyard replacement, and still not done. There's a lot of pieces to do. All I did was replace the bearings and the piston rings. And the piston rings I bought from eBay, and they all fit except the top ring. And it turns out that the groove is machined more shallow on the top ring groove than all the others. So I reused the old top ring, which is too bad, but that's what I did. And I used the wire wheel. See it here. Use this to clean the cylinder head and clean the dirt and stuff off the pistons and intake manifold and the exhaust manifold. And I put this together with no exhaust manifold gaskets because I've seen that the TBI Chevy trucks were done that way and they haven't been leaking, so I'm going to do that. But I did wire wheel the exhaust manifold and the cylinder head really well, and rubbed a bunch of this dirty motor oil on both surfaces and on the threads of all the bolts to help them slippery to go in better. So I did notice some of the lifters had collapsed with the spring broken inside, and a lot were totally solid. So I ordered some new lifters. I'm going to put that in, and after putting all this junk back together, hopefully it will be usable, all this. So we will see. And let me think if there's anything else worth showing. Probably not really. I did notice this thing has a spot where you can put a mechanical fuel pump. I thought that was kind of odd. This thing doesn't have carburation, but although I did look carefully and the hole is not drilled, so you'd have to drill that hole if you wanted to use it. But all the threaded holes are all threaded, so I have some other V8s in there that are just like this one, but different year models, and they're still one piece rear main seal, but they don't have all the threaded holes. They just have one, I think one of the big top ones or something. So, oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. There's a lot of tips. So to get this out, you unscrew. So pretend that all these accessories are off. There's just 3 bolts here to take the alternator and the bracket off together. And then there's 3 bolts up here. Then 1 down there. No, you do not need to remove this pulley. And on the back side there, or not on the back side, but on the side, there's 1 more bolt. You can't see it too well, you might have to just feel it, but it's right down there, right up against the block, and that's kind of like the secret bolt, or secret nut. So once you get that nut off, and those 4 bolts off, and all these bolts have a 9/16 head. Likewise, those 3s have a 9/16 head. But of course, the ones that go to the alternator are metric, and they're 13mm. And those are metric that go to the AC compressor. But so anyway, once you do that, you unscrew all the spark plugs, take off the wires, and undo the 9/16 head bolts that hold exhaust manifolds on. 2, 4, 6 bolts each side. And lastly, there's a little cross bolt there, just like all the traditionally is done. I don't know if you can see that. Hope so. Yeah, there it is. There it is. So pull that out. Now on the bell housing bolts, there's let me think, 6 of them, and then they have a bunch of wires and stuff back there with the. Let's see if I can find a one. Oh, here's one. Alright. Oh. So you have to get this nut off of the 13mm. It's really hard to reach. So get all these nuts off, and then that loosens the wire clamps. And then, you know, this is too bad this is like this because it's hard to get to. So you have to use a 9/16 wrench or a deep 9/16 socket, and they're really hard to get to. So when I'm putting all this stuff back, I cut this off and just have a regular bolt, and I don't want to mess with this anymore. So I'll use zip ties or something to hold the wire. Then you can pull it out. I actually pulled it out with a torque converter on it because I didn't want to do more work. There's this, you know, 3 nuts, or 3 torque converter bolts, 15mm head that you can take out. But anyway, all that's not too hard. Then you get all your stuff together, put another short block in, and this is the real trick. This is what makes this video worth watching. These little buckets, the little motor mount buckets that goes to the block, they attach with these 3 holes here on both sides. Make sure that you do not have those on. Take it off and have it look just like this. Then put your short block in, and you need a little jack, like I've got a jack over there, to jack on the transmission. Use your engine hoist with the chain, and then just stick it in there. And then once you get all the bolts, the transmission engine to transmission bolts in, or at least 2 of them in, tighten them. And the very most important thing, use this engine crane and lift the motor as high as you possibly can, and it'll be just enough to get those those little motor mount bucket parts with that hold on with 3 nuts or 3 bolts. 3 3/8 bolts hold those. Yeah, that part right there that I'm shining a light on. And once you got those in, you know, of course it's hard to get them in because it's like this. So then you lower it, the engine, and it pops right onto the rubber cushions, motor mount cushion, and that's all. So I wasted probably an hour or so because I was trying to put the buckets on first and then put it in. It's really not possible. So, okay, that's all for today. Hope I continue to make progress on this. Until next